People often think the biggest moments in life begin with an announcement. They imagine success starts the day a company goes public, the day a rocket launches, or the day someone gets married, but that's almost never how it works. The truth is, the most important moments begin long before anyone else notices. They begin as quiet thoughts, small ideas, private decisions, invisible commitments. That's how every meaningful vision starts. Before the world applauds it, before anyone believes in it, it's simply something you carry inside. I've learned that if you wait for everyone else to understand your vision before you begin, you'll never build anything extraordinary. Whether you're creating technology, solving impossible problems, or planning your future, there comes a moment when you have to trust something only you can see. That kind of belief isn't arrogance, it's responsibility. It's the willingness to protect an idea while it's still fragile, before it has the strength to survive criticism. The same principle applies to relationships. People think love begins with a proposal, a wedding, or a photograph shared with the world. I don't believe that. I think love begins much earlier. It begins the first time you realize that someone brings peace instead of pressure. It begins when you start imagining your future, and somehow that future naturally includes them, even if they have no idea. It begins when you stop asking, "What can this person give me?" and start asking, "What kind of life could we build together?" That's why I said something that sounds almost unbelievable. I said I'm planning a secret wedding, and my future wife doesn't even know yet. Some people hear that and laugh. Others think it's just a dramatic statement. But what I really mean is much deeper. Every great commitment starts as a private vision. Before there is a ring, before there is a ceremony, there is a decision in your own heart about the kind of person you want to become and the kind of future you want to create. You don't prepare for marriage by buying a venue. You prepare by becoming someone who can handle commitment when it arrives. You prepare by learning patience instead of chasing instant gratification. You prepare by becoming emotionally stable when life becomes unpredictable. You prepare by building character when nobody is watching. Because if you cannot manage your own life, you cannot expect to build one with someone else. The world celebrates visible milestones, but the invisible preparation is what makes those milestones possible. Nobody sees the countless failures before success. Nobody sees the lonely nights spent solving impossible problems. Nobody sees the quiet moments where you choose discipline over comfort. Those unseen choices shape everything that follows. I believe the same is true for the person you'll eventually spend your life with. Long before they know your intentions, you're already making decisions that will affect your future together. Every habit you build, every lesson you learn, every mistake you choose not to repeat is quietly preparing you for a relationship that doesn't exist yet, but one day will. The future is never created on the day it's revealed. It is built in silence, protected by conviction, and strengthened by the choices no one else ever sees. And when that vision finally becomes reality, people will call it luck, but you'll know it was the result of believing long before the world could see what was already taking shape. As time goes on, your definition of success changes. When you're younger, it's easy to believe that the next achievement, the next breakthrough, or the next milestone will finally make you feel complete. You chase excitement because excitement feels like progress. But after enough victories and enough failures, you begin to recognize something surprising. The thing you value most isn't constant excitement, it's peace. That's true in business, and it's even more true in relationships. People often assume that if you've built ambitious companies or spent your life solving impossible problems, you'd naturally be looking for someone extraordinary in the way the world defines it. Someone who impresses everyone the moment they walk into a room. But I've learned that the qualities that attract attention are not always the qualities that build a lasting life. Perfection is an illusion. Every person has flaws. Every relationship has moments of misunderstanding. Every journey includes unexpected turns. If you're searching for someone who never makes mistakes, you'll spend your entire life searching. But if you're searching for someone who makes life feel calmer, more meaningful, and more grounded, you've already shifted your focus towards something real. Peace doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means you found someone who doesn't turn every challenge into a battle. Someone who helps you think more clearly instead of making everything more complicated. Someone who tells you the truth even when it's uncomfortable, because honesty is more valuable than temporary comfort. I've come to believe that one of the greatest signs of compatibility isn't how loudly two people celebrate together. It's how quietly they can exist together. Can you sit in the same room without needing to fill every second with conversation? Can you trust each other without constant reassurance? Can you support each other's dreams without turning them into a competition? Those are the questions that matter. In a world obsessed with appearances, it's easy to confuse chemistry with compatibility. Chemistry can happen in an instant. Compatibility is built over time. Chemistry makes your heart race. Compatibility helps your heart rest. One creates excitement, the other creates stability. And while excitement is wonderful, stability is what carries you through the years. I've also realized that the right relationship doesn't ask you to become someone else. It doesn't require you to wear a mask or constantly prove your worth. The right person inspires growth, but they don't demand that you abandon who you are. Instead, they create an environment where both people become better versions of themselves, not because they're forced to, but because they genuinely want to. That kind of partnership becomes incredibly powerful. Imagine two people who aren't competing for attention, but combining their strengths. One person's courage supports the other's doubts. One person's patience balances the other's urgency. Together, they become stronger than either could ever become alone. The world often celebrates dramatic love stories filled with endless highs and painful lows. But real life isn't sustained by drama. It's sustained by trust. It's sustained by consistency. It's sustained by the quiet confidence that, no matter how difficult tomorrow becomes, you're facing it with someone who wants to solve problems with you instead of against you. I've met brilliant people who could solve incredibly complex engineering problems, but struggled to build simple, healthy relationships. Intelligence alone isn't enough. Success alone isn't enough. Wealth alone isn't enough. Emotional maturity, the ability to listen, to understand, to forgive, and to remain steady when life becomes uncertain, is far rarer than people realize. When I think about the future, I don't imagine a perfect person waiting somewhere. I imagine someone whose presence feels like coming home after the longest journey, someone who brings clarity instead of confusion, confidence instead of doubt, and quiet strength instead of unnecessary noise. Because in the end, the greatest relationship isn't built on finding perfection. It is built on finding the kind of peace that makes every dream worth sharing. When people hear the word secret wedding, they immediately assume the secret is about hiding something. They imagine fear, uncertainty, or a desire to avoid attention. But that's not how I see it. There is a profound difference between hiding something because you're ashamed of it and protecting something because you value it. Those are two completely different motivations. Think about the most valuable things humanity has ever created. Before a rocket reaches the launch pad, it's developed behind closed doors. Before a revolutionary piece of technology changes the world, it spends years in quiet testing and refinement. Not because the creators are afraid to share it, but because they understand that fragile things need time to grow before they're exposed to the noise of the world. Relationships are no different. The modern world encourages us to broadcast everything. A new relationship becomes a headline. A proposal becomes content. A vacation becomes a series of posts. Sometimes it feels like moments aren't considered real unless they're shared with millions of people. But I've never believed that public attention gives something value. If anything, attention often creates pressure that can distract from what truly matters. A relationship should first become strong in private before it becomes visible in public. When two people are constantly focused on how their relationship appears to others, they can lose sight of how it actually feels to each other. They begin managing perceptions instead of nurturing trust. They spend more energy creating an image than creating a foundation. And foundations matter far more than appearances. That's why I believe some dreams deserve silence while they're taking shape. Silence isn't empty. Silence is where trust grows. Silence is where difficult conversations happen without an audience. It's where mistakes can be made, lessons can be learned, and understanding can deepen without thousands of opinions trying to influence every decision. The truth is, the outside world will always have something to say. Some people will celebrate your happiness. Others will question it. Some will project their own disappointments onto your choices. Others will analyze every detail as though your life exists for their entertainment. If you allow every outside voice to become part of your relationship, eventually it becomes difficult to hear the voice of the person standing right beside you. Privacy creates space for authenticity. When nobody is watching, you discover whether your connection is built on genuine affection or on external validation. You find out whether you're laughing because you're happy or because you're performing happiness. You learn whether your commitment survives when there are no cameras, no headlines, and no applause. I've also learned that protecting something precious requires discipline. It means saying no to unnecessary attention. It means resisting the temptation to prove your happiness to people who were never responsible for creating it. It means understanding that not every meaningful chapter of your life needs immediate public approval. There is incredible freedom in keeping certain parts of your life sacred, not because you're trying to create mystery, but because you're creating stability. Some conversations belong only to the two people living them. Some promises become stronger precisely because they are spoken quietly rather than loudly. When I imagine a future wedding, I don't imagine an event designed to impress the world. I imagine a commitment that reflects what truly matters. Two people choosing each other with complete sincerity. The ceremony is only one day. The marriage is every day that follows. That's where the real work begins. That's where loyalty, patience, forgiveness, and shared purpose are tested. So if I protect that future before anyone else even knows about it, it's not because I'm hiding love. It's because the strongest things in life are not built in the spotlight. They are built where trust is stronger than attention, where commitment is deeper than applause, and where what is truly precious is guarded until it is strong enough to stand on its own. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that the right relationship will suddenly transform them into the person they've always wanted to be. They think that once they meet the right partner, they'll become more disciplined, more patient, more confident, or more emotionally mature. But life rarely works that way. A healthy relationship doesn't replace personal growth, it reveals it. Whatever habits, values, and character you bring into a relationship are often amplified once you're in it. That's why, before asking someone to build a future with me, I have to ask a much harder question. Am I becoming someone worth building that future with? That's not a question about money, fame, or achievements. Those things can open doors, but they can't hold a relationship together. It's a question about character. Can I remain calm when life becomes unpredictable? Can I take responsibility when I'm wrong? Can I listen without immediately trying to win the argument? Can I be dependable when the excitement fades and ordinary life begins? Those questions matter far more than any resume of success. People often admire visible accomplishments because they're easy to measure. Companies can be valued, rockets can be counted, records can be broken. But integrity isn't measured that way. Patience doesn't appear on a balance sheet. Loyalty doesn't make headlines. Yet those invisible qualities become the foundation of every lasting partnership. I've learned that building anything meaningful requires constant iteration. The first version is almost never the final version. You test, you fail, you improve, and you try again. That mindset doesn't belong only in engineering or innovation. It belongs in personal growth as well. Every mistake can become a lesson if you're willing to learn from it instead of defending it. Every disappointment can become wisdom if you choose reflection over resentment. Every setback can either harden your ego or strengthen your character. The choice is always yours. No one enters adulthood with all the answers. We all carry experiences that shape the way we trust, communicate, and respond to challenges. The important thing isn't pretending you've mastered everything. It's being committed to continuous improvement. Growth isn't a destination you eventually reach. It's a decision you make every day. I've also realized that discipline is one of the greatest expressions of love, even before another person enters your life. Waking up with purpose, keeping your promises, managing your emotions, taking care of your health, respecting your time. These aren't just personal achievements. They're gifts you're preparing to bring into a future relationship. Think about it this way. If someone trusted you with their dreams, their fears, their future, and eventually perhaps a family, what version of yourself would they deserve to receive? The distracted version, the impatient version, or the version that has spent years becoming wiser, steadier, and more capable of carrying responsibility? That perspective changes everything. Instead of asking, where can I find the perfect partner? You begin asking, what kind of partner am I becoming? Instead of waiting for life to hand you happiness, you start creating the qualities that make happiness sustainable. You stop chasing validation and start earning self-respect. The truth is, love doesn't remove the need for responsibility. It increases it. Commitment isn't just about promising to stay together during the easy seasons. It's about becoming the kind of person who can still lead with kindness, honesty, and courage when life becomes difficult. The future isn't built by two perfect people finding each other. It's built by two imperfect people who never stop growing, never stop learning, and never stop choosing each other with intention. And the strongest promise you can make to someone you'll one day love is this: long before I asked you to believe in our future, I was already doing the work to become worthy of sharing it with you. People often assume that the greatest adventure a person can pursue is the biggest, boldest, or most ambitious goal imaginable. They think it's about reaching new frontiers, building revolutionary technology, or doing something the world has never seen before. Those challenges are extraordinary and they push humanity forward. They inspire us to dream beyond today's limitations. But after chasing ambitious goals for years, I've come to realize that there is another adventure that is even more demanding because it isn't measured in launches or headlines. It's measured in trust, consistency, and the quiet choices made every single day. Building a life with the right person is the greatest long-term mission anyone can accept. Big achievements often have a finish line. A product is released, a company reaches a milestone, a mission is completed. You celebrate, learn, and move on to the next challenge. But a meaningful relationship doesn't work that way. There is no final version. There's no moment when you can say, we're done building. Every day asks something new of you. Every season teaches a different lesson. Every challenge becomes another opportunity to grow together instead of apart. That's what makes it such an incredible journey. The world celebrates people who dream big, and it should. But dreaming big isn't only about changing industries or exploring new worlds. Sometimes dreaming big means imagining a future where two people continue choosing each other through changing careers, unexpected setbacks, personal growth, and the countless ordinary moments that quietly define a lifetime. It's easy to stand beside someone when everything is going well. It's much harder to remain steady when plans fail, expectations change, or life takes an unexpected turn. That's when the strength of a partnership is revealed, not by how loudly two people celebrate success, but by how faithfully they face uncertainty together. I've always believed that the most successful teams are built on shared purpose. Everyone understands the mission. Everyone knows their role. Everyone is willing to sacrifice individual recognition for a greater outcome. A healthy relationship works the same way. It isn't two people competing to be right. It's two people solving the same problem from the same side. That shift changes everything. Instead of asking, how do I win this argument? You begin asking, how do we protect what we're building? Instead of keeping score, you start creating solutions. You stop treating your partner as an opponent and start seeing them as the teammate you'll rely on for years to come. The right person doesn't reduce your ambition. They give it deeper meaning. Success becomes more rewarding because you have someone who understands the sacrifices behind it. Failure becomes easier to survive because you're no longer carrying every burden alone. Your victories become shared celebrations, and your disappointments become shared lessons. There's also something profoundly humbling about realizing that the people who matter most rarely care about your titles or achievements as much as they care about who you are when the day is over. They see you without the applause. They see you when you're exhausted, uncertain, or discouraged. They remind you that your value was never defined by a headline or a milestone, but by the way you show up for the people you love. That's why balance matters. Ambition should never require abandoning the relationships that give ambition its purpose. Building an extraordinary future isn't only about creating remarkable things. It's about making sure that, when you finally look back, you haven't built an incredible world while forgetting to build a meaningful life within it. In the end, history may remember the projects you completed, the ideas you introduced, or the boundaries you pushed. But the people closest to you will remember something entirely different. They'll remember whether you listened, whether you kept your promises, whether you were present when it mattered most, and whether you built a home where love could grow stronger than success itself. Because the greatest destination isn't simply a place humanity has never reached. It's a life where two people keep exploring the future together, hand in hand, with purpose greater than either could ever achieve alone. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that the most important decisions in life are rarely made in a single dramatic moment. They're made quietly, almost invisibly, through a series of choices that shape who you become long before anyone else notices. People often think commitment begins with a proposal or a wedding ceremony. I see it differently. Those moments are simply the visible expression of a decision that has already been growing in your heart for a long time. That's why I can say something that sounds impossible. One day she'll discover the greatest surprise wasn't the wedding. It was realizing that I had already chosen her in my heart long before she ever knew. Choosing someone isn't about ownership or certainty. It's about direction. It's about reaching a point where your vision of the future naturally includes another person. Not because you need them to complete you, but because you genuinely believe life becomes more meaningful when you build it together. That kind of choice doesn't happen overnight. It develops through reflection, maturity, and a growing understanding of what truly matters. When you're younger, it's easy to confuse emotion with commitment. Strong feelings can convince you that you found forever, but emotions rise and fall. They change with circumstances, stress, and time. Commitment is different. Commitment is the decision you continue making even when life becomes complicated. It's choosing respect during disagreement. It's choosing honesty when the truth is uncomfortable. It's choosing patience when frustration would be easier. Those choices are what create a lasting relationship. I've come to believe that love isn't proven by the size of the celebration. It's proven by the consistency of ordinary days. It's shown in the conversations no one else hears. It's shown in keeping promises that nobody is tracking. It's shown in remembering the little things that make another person's life lighter, calmer, and happier. Grand gestures are memorable, but daily faithfulness is unforgettable. That's also why I don't think the greatest gift you can offer someone is a perfect future. None of us can promise that. Life will always bring uncertainty. Plans will change. Unexpected challenges will appear. What you can promise is something far more valuable, that you'll continue growing, continue learning, and continue showing up with integrity, even when the path becomes difficult. The future doesn't need two people who never fail. It needs two people who refuse to stop trying. If one day I stand across from the woman I'm meant to marry, I hope she doesn't simply see a ceremony. I hope she sees years of preparation she never witnessed, the lessons learned from failures, the discipline built during lonely seasons, the patience developed through waiting instead of rushing, the quiet work that happened long before anyone applauded it, because that's the truth about meaningful love. Most of its construction happens before anyone can see the finished result. Every conversation that made me wiser, every mistake that made me humbler, every challenge that strengthened my character was quietly preparing me to become a better partner. None of those moments looked romantic at the time. Many were difficult, some were painful, but looking back, they were all part of building something much bigger than I understood in the moment. And maybe that's the lesson I hope everyone takes away from this. Don't spend your life waiting for the perfect moment to begin becoming the person your future deserves. Start now. Build your character with the same determination you build your career. Protect your integrity more carefully than your reputation. Learn to lead with kindness as confidently as you lead with ambition. Let your actions quietly reveal the promises your words have not yet spoken. Because when the right moment finally arrives, the greatest surprise won't be the proposal, the wedding, or the celebration. The greatest surprise will be realizing that the future you dreamed about was already being built every single day through the choices you made when no one else was watching. And that is the kind of love that lasts far beyond a single moment, becoming a legacy that time itself cannot diminish.